Will any team in hockey history be facing the kind of pressure the Florida Panthers are looking at tonight? Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Game 7 tonight between those Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. It's an 8 p.m. face-off. All of the momentum, if you believe in such a thing, entering a Game 7, all of it is with the Oilers after winning the past 3 and dominating most of them. And in turn, all of the pressure, no matter what Paul Maurice and Matthew Tkachuk and Alexander Barkov and anybody else have said over the past 48 hours, all of the burden is on the home team here. All of it. For anyone who doesn't know the history on this, the only time a Stanley Cup final was won by a team down 3-0 in the series was the 1942 Maple Leafs. Oh my God, you have to go so far back that you say Maple Leafs and Stanley Cup in the same sentence. It's happened a couple of times in baseball. It's never happened in the NBA. And you want to know something? No matter how it unfolds, even if the Panthers were to put up the fiercest fight tonight, take it to overtime, take it to double overtime, and lose, it'll still be the unquestioned greatest choke job ever. And yeah, we could find out after the series that Tkachuk, who I suspect is playing through some kind of wicked injury, actually has the wicked injury. And there might be similar explanations for Carter Verhaeghe, who's disappeared over the course of the series. Sam Reinhart, who had 57 goals in the regular season and can't even get a sniff of the puck in this final. Brandon Montour, poof, gone. And let's not forget Bob. Sergei Bobrovsky's not been at his best in these 3 games. And yeah, we could find out so-and-so had a broken hand, 2 cracked ribs, busted ankle. You find out this stuff all the time. I've told you guys this story before about my talk with Patrick Hornqvist on the ice in Nashville right after he'd gotten the winning goal, sharing with me that his hand was busted. He had a hard time picking the cup up over his head. And then no one will care. No one will deduct any choking points from the equation. I can't fathom right now what it would take to instill a reset in the Panthers. And I understand that I'm analyzing this without even bringing up the Oilers. Okay, they're playing very well. They're skating hard. They're defending way better than I'd ever thought they'd be capable of. And yeah, as long as I'm at it, they're getting good goaltending out of Stuart Skinner, who wasn't supposed to be up to anything of the kind. I mocked their depth, too, and all that happened in Game 6 was that they won big with Connor McDavid not doing a blessed thing. 0 points, 0 shots. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your #1 source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. But I'm sorry, maybe it's just the rubbernecking driver gazing back at the accident on the other side of the highway in me, but this is fascinating to me from the Florida perspective. What do you say if you're Paul Maurice? You can't wipe the slate clean. Nobody's going to take you seriously. If you go into that locker room and tell everybody, hey boys, forget it all, it's all good. And you can try the obligatory, ever since you were 4 years old learning how to skate on this pond in Canada or Sweden or wherever, this was your dream. Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. And all these dudes are going to be thinking, sitting there looking at you is like, have you been here for the past week? This isn't a dream. This is a nightmare. And in hockey, it's the ultimate nightmare. And what's more, as I mentioned on the most recent episode, I don't think there's anything that Maurice could do if he wanted to adjust to the smart adjustments that Chris Knobloch and Paul Coffey and the Edmonton coaching staff have made that have just crushed the Panthers' ability to sustain a forecheck. So you just cross your fingers and hope that Bob steals one? Or that Evan Rodriguez pumps home 4 more goals and wins Conn Smythe? I don't know. I mean, I'm laughing about it in this episode, but I can't imagine what these guys are going through. And I guess, if I was forced to, the one thing that I would say to them if I was Maurice is, you see that number 16 over there? He's our captain. He's our best player. And by the way, he's been our best player over these last 3 games that the whole hockey world and the whole sports world are now talking about. Alexander Barkov has never changed. He's never waned. You look at that goal that he scored in the 3rd period in Edmonton in Game 6, and that's breathtaking stuff. That was peak Evgeny Malkin stuff. Well, there you go, boys. He's your leader. He's our leader. Do as he does. Watch him. Follow him. Be like him. And by the way, don't be anything at all like what the rest of you have been over these past 3 games. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from JC, and he says, DK, I have a question. It's kind of hockey related, but it's not about the players or the game. How awesome is it that the Edmonton Oilers honor the Indigenous peoples of Canada before every game? I know that subjects like this can be touchy for some, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Penguins maybe doing something like this for the Monongahela and other peoples. I just think that what Edmonton's doing is pure class. I love the question, JC. I love the fact that it's outside of, the usual stuff. Edmonton is doing nothing any different from any other city in Canada. I'm not going to get into the whole history of some pretty rough relations and ugly incidents that have occurred between the Indigenous peoples up there and Canadian settlers, Canadian government, but it's not real pleasant. And by the way, not recommended reading. It forced Canada, the recent revelations about this stuff that happened in most cases a century ago, to come to grips with the past and to make amends to the Indigenous peoples attempting to become more unified and more understanding of each other. It is not an Edmonton thing. When I walk into my hotel in Winnipeg, there's a sign that thanks the Indigenous peoples of Manitoba for the land upon which the hotel is built. This is now happening everywhere there. And because the NHL is number 1 by I was about to say mile, I should say kilometer. Number 1 by a kilometer in Canada, the NHL teams, all 7 of them, have been very active in this as well. So I don't mean to downplay or diminish your appreciation of what the Oilers have done, but it's literally no different across Canada. I've been in those arenas for these ceremonies, for the videos that they put on the board, educating people about the past, educating them about the initiatives, and occasionally including Indigenous players who've made it to the NHL. The Penguins, for those of you who go way back, will recall Ted Nolan, who played for the Penguins and then ended up becoming an NHL head coach. He has for years spoken to these issues, to these causes. More recently, there was Jordan Tutu, you'll remember, from the Sharks. And I suppose this offers me a chance to say that, if the Oilers win tonight, it'll mark the first time since the 1993 Canadiens, backstopped by Patrick Waugh, that any team north of the border will have won the cup, and that's going to be an occasion unto itself. I suppose an argument could be made that even though the last place hockey needs to be publicized or embraced in any way is up there, But there might also be something healthy about it. It's been really weird. 31 years, not one of them. But yet here we are in late June watching scenes on television from Edmonton, Alberta, and talking about things that are happening in Edmonton, Alberta. And there's really nothing wrong with that. It's the cradle of hockey and everything else. But that said, I mean, man, can you imagine if the Panthers lose? I can't shake this. I can't shake this. I think this is going to be a really, really, really big deal tonight. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins, and you know what we're going to be talking about tomorrow.